right. Excellent. We were just backstage talking a little bit about album number 6, and you're out on tour.
We are.
You were saying it's a lot of fun, maybe a little too much fun.
Sometimes.
And then we saw that video, and there's a champagne shower in there, and I thought, oh, I get it. A little too much fun. Does that happen every night?
It was just us.
What's that?
Yeah.
Just us.
In the champagne shower?
Nobody else allowed.
So when you say a little too much fun, emphasis on the little.
Little.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, it's album number 6. It's 10 years together, and I want to talk about both of those things. Let's start with the decade anniversary, which you've marked in 2 ways. One was a festival of your own. Back home, the 8123 Fest. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, man.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Where's the idea come from? I know what we'll do. Who came up with that?
That was probably the guy back
Probably
there.
Pat.
Yeah.
Pat.
Yeah, I think we've met so many bands over the 10 years of being a band, and we've built this community of people that support what we do, and kind of Arizona has become kind of the foundation of our band. So we just figured, let's bring everybody to one place that we've talked about for 10 years and all the songs, and they can go and and see the places he's been singing about, and meet the friends that we have and all the stuff, and then let's bring bands that we've been friends with for all this time, and the reason that we've been able to keep being a band is because we've gone on tour with these bands and all that stuff. So we just decided, let's bring it all and do it all in one day. So
and who's coming from the farthest away in terms of bands or fans? Do you know?
I mean there
was
people
a fan from New
overseas
Zealand.
and
Right?
Yeah.
New Zealand? Yeah.
New Zealand.
New Zealand?
That's about as far away as it got.
Wow, yeah.
Just about as far away as it
That's
came.
that's not that close when you get right down to it. Wow, well, I mean that's really amazing, and of course it's something that you did yourselves. You're working independently, and one of the other ways you marked the 10-year anniversary was with a piece I read on Medium.
Yep.
Who can tell me the title of that? And you actually can tell me the title of that.
It was how to.
Let him do it. 'Cause
Well,
he wrote
Pat.
it.
Well, I wrote it, but
Oh,
Pat
but you did
gave
the
it the
title.
title.
Pat gave it the
Yeah,
title?
Pat titled
Oh,
it.
all right, okay.
Collaborative.
It was. I think it was how we went from.
How we turned.
How we turned 1,000
1,000
into 100,000 true fans by.
You can say it.
Actually giving a shit.
Actually
giving a shit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of good insights in that. One is, of course, actually giving a shit, which you're famous for, and we'll talk about in a second. But I mean, just to explain that to those who don't know, tell me about the tour that preceded this, or the start of the last one, the 2015 Free for All tour.
That was another one of Patrick.
Pat is the freaking genius here.
Pat's all
What, do
over
you
it.
just sit at home with like a blackboard writing
from my
stuff?
brother. that one came from my brother,
Who happens to be our manager.
Yeah.
So and the idea was go out, give back. Everybody
Yeah.
comes for free. Some bands give away their music in order to sell concert tickets. I'd never really heard of this one, which
Yeah.
was going out and touring and letting people in for free.
We just figured our mentality, the foundation of our mentality kind of resides on the idea of us liking music and being true fans of music in general.
Sure.
And even beyond that, it's kind of the golden rule stuff that you learn in elementary school, the treat others how you'd like to be treated stuff. So we figured...
So what the message you're putting out in the world is, I want to come to your show for free.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
We want to go to concerts for free, so we're
I'm petty. Why is it? No, but I don't know. We just see a lot of stuff within the world that we come from as far as our peers go, and we kind of don't agree with a lot of it as far as the paid meet and greets and all that stuff. So a lot of it...
We see this a lot in the touring business, sort of an add-on to a ticket. You could buy a ticket just to walk in the door. You
Right.
can buy one that gets you a meet and greet, and then something sometimes called the Golden Circle, which sounds
Yeah.
terrible.
I don't know
But
what
it's
that
actually nice.
It sounds gross.
you know, you can sit up front and have dinner with somebody, you know, so you can buy more than a ticket. But your point is if you buy a ticket,
you get all the experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just felt like it would be a great way of actually giving people back a little bit of what they've given so much to us, if that makes sense.
I mean, and you know, I think just like looking out here in the audience, I can see people that have been to 125 of our concerts. You know, so that's a bunch of money. And
I just want to fact check this. Has somebody out here been to 125 of it? God darn. What? 120. 125 to go.
Oh, 120.
5 to go.
120. Sorry.
That's right. Wow.
No big deal.
Wow. Well, I mean, you know, I can totally see where you're coming from then. The giving back to someone who's already paid 119 times. I hope you got to see the free show.
Yeah.
One. Okay. 119 times.
It's a great deal.
And another thing mentioned in that Medium essay, often mentioned, is that as part of this, you're saying you don't want to charge for meet and greet, so you will, from the start, when you were starting with interacting with fans online, still interact with people in the parking lot today, right? No matter how long that takes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
that
walk
was the
out
only
after
way
every
when we
show.
started. That was the only way we could interact because these guys were still in high school, and we couldn't go out on tour. So when MySpace was a thing, and that was kind of the only kind of format to communicate with people. We would sit at home for hours on the internet and just, hey, please listen to our music. Please be our friends. We don't have any friends.
Now you have a lot of friends. There's something like 250,000 Twitter followers. Does interacting, is it still part of what you do, interacting online? Is it?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a large part of what we do.
Yeah.
I think that we've been trying to keep people really involved with what we're doing, especially with this record. In the past, we've kind of disappeared while we're making an album, and this time we wanted to bring everyone into the process and put as much stuff online as we could so people could know exactly what we're up to. So,
While you were recording,
Yeah.
documenting the sessions,
Right.
right, and well, let's talk about that. You wanted to bring as many people into the process as you could, but you went to a place where there weren't many
Nobody
people.
lives. Yeah.
As far away as we could.
We talked about this a little backstage. I've actually been to, I'm going to mispronounce it, Gualala, California, on the coast, on the Pacific Coast Highway. It's a small place, dudes.
Very
Tiny.
small. Quaint.
Yeah.
Remote.
And you said you kind of Airbnb'd the record. You know, you looked for a house first, and then decided that looks nice. We'll go there. Yeah, how'd that work? Who found the house? I'm going to guess Pat.
Pat probably found the house. Yeah.
I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we
You're just sitting in the back behind the drums, pulling all the strings.
Yeah,
aren't you?
He's not
Whole
even
thing.
playing drums. Yeah, it's
Yes, the puppet master.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do this, John.
yeah, we actually did the exact same thing on the last record as well. So we had kind of seen what worked and what didn't work. So we knew what kind of a house that we had to have and stuff. So we looked online, and the first couple that we contacted were like, no, you can't record an album in our house. You're gonna get it all messed up. So
Dogs welcome, rock bands no.
yeah.
Which is probably an Airbnb policy.
Yeah,
sure.
So yeah, so once we found a house that that said we could record, we were just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, and this is one of the amazing things we were saying that has changed now is you don't have to go to a recording studio. You can bring the studio with you wherever you go.
Yeah, we found that to be boring. We were just let's go somewhere interesting.
When we first started, it was Costa Rica. That's where we wanted to go.
Really?
Yeah.
And we looked into the logistics, and we were kind of like,
And actually, it was Pat who broke the news to us that we couldn't do
But
it.
then the second idea was let's find a castle somewhere.
And that didn't work out either.
And that didn't work out.
Almost.
We settled for
a cliff.
a cliff.
We were on the side of a cliff, yeah.
No castle, just the
Yeah.
cliff. Wow. Okay. Well, albums number 7 and 8 though. Those
Castle,
clearly mapped out.
a castle in Costa Rica.
Castle in Costa Rica is a fine name.
That's
for
actually
at
a
least
great
song.
album name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Castle in Costa Rica. Yeah.
2 questions. what did you guys do? You went there because you wanted to go there, but what drew you there? Was it like, I just want to look down on a cliff, I want to be in the California sunshine, or do you like surfing? Do you like wine? What drew you out to Northern California?
I think the biggest inspiration was being near the water.
Yeah.
That when I came up with the title for the record, that was what I envisioned, was just water for some reason. Being alone, and that, like, for me, it sounds really weird, but I came up with it while I was swimming, and I did the sinking thing in the deep end, and felt really terrified but comforted by that at the same time, knowing that I was occupying the deep end by myself. So it was, I don't know, there was just a necessity to be by the water. We did the last one in Joshua Tree, so it was pretty much void of all water, just dirt. And we live in Arizona, which is also void of dirt. Most water. So it was a great change of pace. And I don't know, it was definitely hypnotizing, being able to wake up, walk outside, and literally 12 feet away was the coast. So it definitely made for excellent vibes.
You know, that's interesting. You said when you came up with the title for the record, which preceded the album itself, and actually there are 3 songs on the record.
Yeah.
But you had not written those songs at the time?
We had not. We actually came up with kind of penning the lyrics to the songs about a week or two before the actual record,
Right.
when we were kind of compiling the track listing. So
We had finished pre-production, and we wanted it to kind of flow. We knew we wanted to make a continuous record where most of the songs went into the next, but there were a few points in the record where we needed to bridge that gap. And so those 3 tracks, and the record being called, the 3, it has 3 words, so we figured we'd just name those 3 tracks.
And those were points in the record where we felt like there was a lull or like a stoppage that kind of prohibited
itself
it
to
from actually seamlessly kind of traveling through. So, yeah.
So you said the pre-production on the record was done. The titles weren't together. The lyrics weren't together either.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And is that typically the way? I mean, there are some bands who work this way: music first, and then I maybe listen to the tracks, see what they suggest, stories, lyrics later. Is that the way you typically work, or
That was
does it
kind of
cha-
new for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was weird. This was, for us, this was a little bit backwards from how we would normally do it. A lot of the demos that we had, I would say they're definitely our most polished sounding demos. We spent a lot of time on them, but John was just singing gibberish.
Fake
There were
words.
no words. It was melodies, but it was just syllables happening. So
That's why a lot of the working titles were like doo-doo
Doo-doo.
and like blah blah and
I love those songs.
ooh.
yeah,
Yeah. Normally,
I mean, this is another way that songwriters work, right? The most famous example is Paul McCartney and Yesterday, right?
Yeah.
He wakes up and has a melody and doesn't have any words and says scrambled eggs.
yep.
Absolutely. And David Byrne had done it too, I think, on, what was it?
Speaking in
in Tongues.
Exactly right, yeah.
And that always fascinated me to kind of, in a sense, work backwards or try to fill in something that's already, occupying a melodic space. So I think it was really important for us to push ourselves. It being our 6th album, it being our 10th year of being a band, things can get a bit humdrum along the way and monotonous. And I think it was a great way of breaking that and feeling uncomfortable, because I think it was really important to do so, or else we wouldn't have, arrived at this point. So
I also think that like having just the melody and not the words, and having like an emotional connection to the song already without information, like words, I think made it awesome, like great. It
Yeah,
made
so
it
different.
feel good already, and then you have words on top of it, and there's more depth there. And yeah, I think it was.
We're not going to do it like this again.
Yeah.
It was. John had a hard
basically,
time.
basically
Yeah.
the last
Yeah.
week
It
of
worked
doing it.
great. It felt terrific. We had a deep connection. Not going to do it
Not
again.
going to do it.
He's wearing the beanie because he was pulling out his hair the whole
Yeah,
time.
we were watching John bang his head on the wall over the last week of
Well, it does put a
recording.
lot of pressure on,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you've got these tracks that you have a connection to. So, gee, John, what are they about?
Yeah, you could see, you could spoil it by, yeah. I don't
But
know, plugging in the wrong words.
I
Yeah.
suppose, but this is an interesting way of working because although you didn't have the lyrics, you did have the melodies, you had the music, but you also had the vibe. I mean, you went into this with some specific intentions, right?
Yeah, we wanted to look. I self-admittedly, I'm a huge pop first guy. I love pop songs. I love pop arrangements. But I feel like it's really important for us to still maintain the notion that we're a rock band. So we've done that the past few records of taking pop arrangements and trying to imbue as much rock and roll into them as we can. And I think that on this one specifically, we wanted to create that same feeling of being uncomfortable and terrified, but somewhat at peace with the idea of being alone and afraid. So we kind of
literally in the deep end, looking up
literally, yeah.
at where you can go, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and
That's
I
how he
think that
described it to us, prior.
I don't know how we really. I think the first step was threading this feedback that you'll hear throughout.
There's a dissonance.
The whole record.
There's definitely
Yeah.
a dissonance to the record, and for us, it's a little bit of an uneasy thing. We kept referencing the term that we kind of made up, happy sad, and that was just the idea of playing chords or whatever you're doing in a way that lends themselves to this happy feeling, but there's undertones of tension or sadness or something that.
Yeah.
Well, we
offsets it.
referenced Heroes.
Yeah.
David Bowie's
Heroes,
song.
David
the
Bowie.
Yeah.
the like feedbacky
Brian
Brian
Eno,
Eno
yeah.
sound that kind of drifts through that song. I think we referenced that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you knew you wanted to thread guitar feedback, keyboard sounds through the whole record. Was that something that you literally added later to thread through, or was it track to track?
Some
you were
of it,
kind
I mean,
putting
even the
together?
ocean sounds. We had thrown a microphone over the cliff edge. That I mean, and yeah,
It's
it's kind of
just a microphone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think what happened with that is we were working on "I Only Want to Talk to You," one of the songs on the record in pre-production, and we got this in the intro that we got this. I guess it was just like
Feedback,
like
yeah.
a feedback sound that we really liked, and then we just put that in. I mean, the
As
entire
many places
album,
as
pretty
we could
much.
put
Yeah.
it, yeah. So we just changed the key, and then it kind of drifts through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it starts the record too. You hear it for like a second before
Yeah.
the guitar starts.
So and so this is part of the happy sad approach.
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Which really is, you were mentioning Heroes, but that really is a rock tradition where,
Right.
I mean, maybe the music is lifting you up, but the story is, deeper
Totally.
and darker than that.
It's a contrast.
Contrast.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say, if album number 7 doesn't turn out to be the castle in Costa Rica, happy sad.
Happy
is
sad, yeah.
a good name for a record.
Perfect.
Pretty good name for a record. We got time for some questions from the audience.
Cool.
And we're starting right
Hello.
here with the
Hi.
lady with the microphone in her hand.
Hi guys.
We know
What
you.
up?
Hi.
Yeah. I was just wondering what your favorite song off the new album to perform live is.
We haven't got to do them all yet, so
Play
I'm
some
gonna go-
tonight.
I'm going to go with Black Butterflies and Deja Vu. It's one of the faster songs we've ever written, so it lends itself to energy.
Same. But just because it starts the set, I think it's a cool way to start the night every night, and like John was saying, it's quick, so I think it's an explosive way to start the evening.
In contrast to that, at the end of the set, we play another song, "Bad Behavior." That, for me, it was kind of just an immediate one, reaction-wise, from people in the crowd. So that was just immediately been standout for me.
Same.
Black Butterflies. Energy.
Yeah.
Energy.
Hi.
Hi.
What
My
up,
name is
Sue?
Remy
Good to
from
see
New
you.
Jersey. Good to see you.
You changed your hair.
I did.
It looks nice.
Thank you.
We know everybody.
We know
here.
these people.
Okay, because that was almost creepy, but okay.
My question is, so each album seems to have like a distinct aesthetic. I was wondering where this comes in like the creative process. Could you talk about a lot about like writing the album?
Yeah, I have a really tough time with visuals when it comes to imagining things like visually in my head. So I think it's. I'm gonna just spill the beans. We're kind of making everything up as we go, and I feel like I had the idea for a cover, but this wasn't it, and that's now it. And so then we just say, yeah, that's the cover, and then we don't say anything else, and then people think, oh, they have it all figured out. We don't.
It's all falling apart slowly in our head.
We feel like it's coming together all right, and we really worked off kind of the second half of American Candy, and we felt like when we did the music video for Am I Pretty, and we kind of wore the matching things, and we had the blue going, we felt like that was a great starting point for this record to, at least in our heads, to kind of build off of. So we knew we wanted continuity and consistency, and that's where we started. But we still have zero figured out.
It's chaos.
I think we got time for one more. One more.
Hi, young lady. How are you?
Oh.
I'm good. What inspires you to make music?
Oh, man.
Smallest person asks the hardest
Right?
question.
Oh yeah.
For me, at this point, it's a form of therapy, some sort of catharsis. And you probably know that word because you asked the most. But and there's a lot of it that I just don't know what else I'd be doing right now. I can't imagine myself doing anything else, and I know that goes for all these guys too.
Yep.
Refrigerator repairman or something. I don't know. I
So
can't.
you're saying what inspires you is desperation.
Yeah.
Career desperation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's just I don't know. There's a lot to be excited about, and we want to share that through music. So the world is not falling apart. The sky is just falling a little bit, but the whole world is good. We're okay.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Wow, there's that happy, sad thing.
Yep,
again.
there we go.
Okay.
I hope so.
Well, guys, that's great. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
Having
us.
us.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.